Women, get your handkerchiefs ready, because I'm going to tell you a very touching story. Men, clench your fists, because I will convey to you the will of a real man. He is not perfect, makes mistakes, tends to succumb to anger, and his paradigm of thinking may seem outdated to some of you, but nevertheless, I ask you to love and favor, Father. Before we start, I'm going to ask you to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Your activity and constant feedback inspire me incredibly much. Thank you all, and I'm going to retell. Our main characters: Takeshi Kumada's father, Taika Kumada's mother, Kumiko's daughter, Yosuke's son, at night. Women's voices are heard from one poor lackey. The girl tells her mother that she should give her 30,000 yen. But the parent doesn't have that much money. The daughter insists, saying that she has little time, and is certain he will kill her if he finds out what she has done. Nearby, another man is twirling a butterfly knife in his hands. This is another family member who pretends to be cool, offering to kill him. The sister reacts simply by saying that her brother can't. He's basically good for nothing. A mother gives her daughter money to a beggar, but she doesn't have 10,000 more. The door opens, and the one to whom the daughter owes comes inside. The girl asks her mother to save her and hides behind her back. The mother also gets scared. Just look at the bandit's face. Saying, "Come here, bitch," the man grabs his daughter by the hair. In tears, the mother asks the unknown to calm down, but he assures that he is calm as it is. It's all just a love grater. Also does not interfere by twisting the butterfly knife under the table. Then, the sister asks for help, asking to kill the bandit, but he does not have the heart. Pulling Kumiko into the corridor, the bandit suddenly stopped, seeing an unknown figure in front of him. A tall, muscular man with a face covered with scars. Seeing his stern look, the bandit is lost. His father hits him on the head with such force that he just flew into the wall, losing consciousness. The daughter froze in place, watching the man who saved her, who went further into the house. The mother froze in surprise, and the son was naturally scared. Approaching the table, the giant of monstrous appearance sat down. Yosuke asks who the old man is, and the mother answers, "This is your father." From such a revelation, children are naturally shocked, and we are transported back 16 years. The bandits came to the family when Kumiko and Yosuke were still young. Now this house belongs to the mafia, so they are trying to drive the family out into the street. While the kids are crying, hugging their mother, the father finishes his sake and rises. One had only to turn around to make the Yakuza people nervous. They warn not to approach, but then a bottle breaks on one. The second one grabs a knife, but gets hit with a rose. Yosuke continues to cry when the demon grabbed both guests by the scruff of the neck and threw them into the trash. Then he came back, sat on the floor, and told his wife's sake. In the present, the children stare in amazement at their returned father. He says food, and the wife answers, "Everything will be fine now." While he waits, the comedian clenches her fists and tells him, "Who do you think you are? You abandoned your family, you were gone for more than 10 years. Do you think you can come back like that?" After returning from the kitchen, the mother asks her daughter to stop, but she can't just shut up. How much shit their family suffered because of this man. Then the mother does something that surprises even her son, beats her daughter. While the husband takes out cigarettes, the woman continues, "Your father never left us. He had good reasons to leave. He did it to protect you." After lighting up, the father took the first puff. And we are in the past again. Her bitches start crying, and thus there will be a mother. When she opens her eyes, she feels the smell of burning. Their hut is burning. She immediately began to wake her husband. While the crying Kumiko tries to calm Yosuke, the parents run to them. Suddenly, dad grabs his wife by the clothes and throws her to a safe distance with the words, "Run from here." When she asks how the children are, the husband immediately makes a frightening grimace, and then he wades through the fire to the children. The fire truck is on its way. Going into the room where the children were sleeping, he found both of them unconscious. The house was falling apart more and more. He rushes to the children. The wife is crying on the street. The neighbor is trying to hold her so that she does not run back. One of the onlookers behind me says that it seems to be the work of the pawnbroker's people. Firefighters arrived and began to extinguish the fire. Watching all this from the window of his office, the pawnbroker is satisfied with the work done. He praises people who have only recently been in the trash for the work they have done and gives money, letting them have fun. No matter how hard the firefighters tried, the wooden surf burned down at the root. From shock, the mother can't even stand on her feet, but fortunately her family is alive. The father carries both children outside in his arms. She rushes to hug him, asking what's wrong with the children. "They are alive, mother," the father answers. An ambulance arrived. The children and the mother are already in the car. The wife tells her husband to come in, but he closes the door and says to the others, "Fuck off." The impressed rescuers saluted and left. The man looked at the burning children's bicycle, the remains of the nursery, and the Kumiko doll. And in another place, having received money from the boss, the bandits just went out into the street, where their father appeared before them with a shovel. Frightened, they were already running away, as one got a shovel on the neck. To the second, this weapon cut off the left arm, and then pierced the skull. After killing them, the father went to the other bandos, who were just now discussing how the family was burned to the ground. The door flew into the room. After taking a look at his victims, the man began to kill one by one with a shovel. When a man with a katana attacked him, he simply broke it with his swing, and then cut his neck. When Bostu came into the room directly at the noise, he saw a head cut off with a shovel under his feet, got scared and ran out, locking the door behind him. The same shovel immediately plunged into it. Taking advantage of the fact that the monster switched to the boss, the six attacked from behind, catching up with him with a blade. His father just turned around and knocked him out with his elbow. Then another one with a sword was drawn. Stopping the blade with his hand, the man cut it into two parts with the same shovel. God grabbed his gun when the door flew off its hinges. He fired, hitting the man's shoulder. Angry, the father slowly approached the pawnbroker and pierced him with his weapon, and then lifted him up and threw him out of the window. After emptying the gang's booze reserves, the father approached the stuffed tiger and set it on fire. When he came out, the building was already completely engulfed in fire. After walking a few meters, the father lost consciousness. He was taken to the hospital. There, the assistant investigator was waiting for the father to regain consciousness, and he also got a pumpkin from the inspector for falling asleep. The police discussed the main character. He's got 3 assault charges on him and 1 murder charge. Starting from the age of 16, he served 8 years, and his own father became the victim. According to the data, the father of the father was a worthless and unemployed drunk who constantly beat his family. At one of these moments, the son stabbed his father with a pickaxe. Then the inspector asks if there is any information about how the father behaved with his family. And if you believe the family, then it's good, he didn't touch his wife or children. After threatening the subordinate so that he no longer sleeps at the workplace, the chief enters the ward. Damn, what a monster, the inspector notices. He was cut, burned and shot, and he's still breathing. As the doctor said, any person would have died from this a long time ago. Suddenly, Kumada's father opened his eyes, startling the police at the same time. The first thing he asked, after taking off his oxygen mask, was how the children were. The police say that everything is fine with them, only the wife has a slight stress. Then, calling the police chief a cop, Takeshi asks for a smoke, and, despite the ban, the inspector gives him a cigarette. In the meantime, we are being transferred to other family members. Kumada's mother and her children stayed with a relative. While she is breastfeeding Yosuke, the comedian is watching TV. Suddenly, another child comes up, and with the words "get out," the bitch kicks her daughter. She starts crying. An unknown kid sits down in front of the TV to play. The mother asks Kumiko to be patient. Then the hostess of the house herself comes and says to find a job and get out of here faster, calling them pathetic scum. Crying and hugging children who want to leave here. The woman promises that she will soon find them a new home. Kumiko asks, "Where's Dad?" And he gets the answer, he's still sick. At the same time, we see Casey sharing a prison cell with other criminals. The cellmates want to beat someone up and are already ready to rush at the father, but the first one who decides gets a broken finger. A little later, in the visiting room, the inspector provided Kumada's mother with papers. This is a divorce application. She asks why, but the father answers, "Sign it and get out of here. Forget me, I'm not a tenant anymore." Then he gets up and leaves. Takeo wants to stop him, but the lawman puts his hand on his shoulder and says he has already thought everything over as a husband and as a father. In the present, the grown-up comedian continues to pour on her father with questions about why you showed up. Then the father does what no one expects of him. He bows his head and says, "Forgive me." He explains that the Yakuza would kill everyone to get to him. 30 minutes before the father returns, standing outside his family's new home, images of his wife and children flash through his head. Then he saw a car drive up, and from there, with the words, "I'm going to kill this disgusting juice," a bandit falls out. And we see the same picture already from the face of the father, whom the brat smashed into the wall. Looking at the comedian lying on the floor, he sees a little girl whom he once abandoned. Now the daughter rushed into the corridor and saw that Curly was still lying. She came back again with a hit and run. "What did you do to him? Do you know what they're going to do to me now?" Cassie calmly answers something. "I won't let them touch you again." The mother asks her son to call an ambulance. The daughter dissuades, they say, "The scumbag deserves to die." My father stares at the wall in silence. The comedian takes the knife herself and says she will end it. Taika approached Yosuke, gave him money, and sent him for sake, telling him to buy the best. Seeing curly-haired in the corridor, the son is scared, but seeing that the bandit has no strength, he kicks him with his foot. In response, he tries to call him a bitch. Realizing that the recumbent is still alive, the son screams and runs away. A little later, after buying a drink, her bitch went back, wondering if this creepy big guy really was his father. But if so, why is he such a sucker himself? To match these thoughts, some guys come out of the alley to him, in the form of which he immediately drops a bottle of sake. Yosuke owes these guys money, and since he will not pay the debt in any way, he will have to perform some service. But he can't right now, because his father is waiting for sake at home. No one believes in these words, because they never had a father at home. They start beating him up for lying. Yosuke continues to insist that his father has returned, and is trying to scare him, saying that he is very strong, just a beast. Then they break his nose. Taking a knife out of his pocket, the son also tries to attack, cutting one kid's cheek. Then the brawl begins. So Casey's dad is at home eating fish and drinking sake. In the kitchen, his wife notices that Yosuke should have already returned and asks the comedian to go look for his brother. The father finished eating and got to his feet. Going out into the corridor, he met curly-haired, who, although infuriating, still decided to attack. When the mother came out with food, she noticed that her husband was no longer there, as well as the bandit who came for his daughter. Going outside with curly hair on his shoulder, Cassie said never come near my daughter again, and then threw him into the river. When he surfaced, the father added, "Next time I'll kill you." Meanwhile, the son grabs from the bandits. He is beaten with a telescopic baton and then kicked. He breaks down and begins to apologize when suddenly Takeshi appears behind him. The son beamed, saying father. The boys were immediately scared when they saw the monstrous Takeshi in front of them. The son complains, they say, these guys ran over him, but the father, to his disappointment, says, "And you call yourself my son after this? If you have balls, then get up and go to death." Turns around and leaves. The boys laugh and continue to process the yoke. Takeshi stopped when he saw the broken sake bottle. Then he came back. The son already thought that the father decided to protect him, but he says, "By mistake." From such arrogance, the bandits were blown away. One of them approached the bat, but received a head blow of such force that he flew several meters away. When the second one attacked with his foot, Takeshi easily caught it and threw it into the wall. Dad went up to the third one and told him to go and buy him sake. Then the bandit decided to pick up a butterfly that was lying on the floor with a knife and grabbed his son as a hostage, promising that he would cut Yosuke if this person came up. Then Dad took out cigarettes and just started smoking. The bandit didn't understand and then asks, "What are you doing, man? Pull back and punch him in the head," Casey says to his son. Neither the bandit nor the hostage understood. And then the father is already shouting, "Do as I say." Yosuke does and is released. Now fuck him good. Don't delay, son. Yuki gathered his will into a fist and fucked the bandit well. Then another, and another. The father came up from behind and lifted his son up, said, "Now go and buy me sake." "Of course, Dad," the son exclaimed joyfully. Turning around, while his son enthusiastically follows him with his eyes, the father went back. Even the dog is afraid, seeing how Cassie confidently strides towards the house. When the comedian is about to go look for her father and brother, she finds the first one in the corridor. The daughter asks what happened. Nothing. He had told her not to worry anymore. The wife greets her husband, saying that dinner is almost ready. Then he sat down on the floor again, waiting. After all the beaten up, Yuki comes home with a big bottle of swill. Taika asks her son what happened, but he replies, "Everything is fine. It's just a scratch." The mother tries to argue, saying that he needs to go to the hospital, but then Dad intervenes, "Bring me a bowl." No one understood, so the father repeats these words, addressing Yosuke. The guy nodded and enthusiastically ran off for a bowl. The comedian and his mother were left wondering what was going on at all. When the son returned with a basin, the father poured Sarah into it, gave his son, and told him to go outside and fly out on his head. This is for disinfection. While so the rat continued to drink, the son went and did so. The food is ready. Dad told the family that he wanted them to eat together. So they had dinner with the whole family. The warm events of the present in his memory brought Takeshi back to the cold memories of the past. As his father turned the table over while eating, commanding him to go and buy more sake. While there is a heavy downpour outside, the game wants thunder. The family is waiting in horror for what will happen next. Cassie's mom says they don't have sake anymore, and he sends her to the store. Mom says they don't have any money, and then her father throws himself at her like that. Beating her with his hands and feet, he commands her to find the money. It doesn't matter how, but so that they appear quickly. Takeshi's mom apologizes. Then, the son's patience breaks, and he tries to stop his father. From body, the drunkard flies to him. Now the mother is trying to protect her son, as she flies into the wall. Lying on the floor, beaten, so Cassie says that the world would be better if such a bastard died. Raza triggers rage in the father, and he, promising the little one that he will kill him, throws his son out of the window. Another day, the father of the father attacked the mother again. Then the son pounces from behind and bites off his ear. The son is strong enough, so he is no longer afraid of his father. He tells him that how dare he call himself a man if all he can do is torment those who are weaker. Dad the drunk flies up and hits him in the face. When he flies off into the wall, he gets a long series of blows. In the present, an aged Takeshi suddenly got up from the table and went to the toilet. He's throwing up blood there. After cleaning up after himself, he returned and, as if nothing had happened, sat down at the table, starting to drink alcohol already from the throat. After draining the bottle, he looked at the family and said, "Now we will go to the baths." While everyone is gathering, we are shown another event that happened just 2 weeks ago. Takeshi Kumada works with a pickaxe at a construction site. Watching his work, colleagues discuss how this guy scares them. It looks as if this person, wielding a tool, is trying to kill someone. The father seems to have heard all this and therefore turns to the hard workers. They were even more scared, justifying that they were joking, but he suddenly vomits blood and faints. Seeing what was happening inside his body, the doctors were horrified. It's a complete mess. By all laws, a man should have been dead a long time ago. It will not be possible to save him. This is simply impossible. The bill goes 4 days. A little later, he regained consciousness, and after a while, a nurse burst into the doctor's office to inform. So Casey escaped from the hospital, and now he and his family go to the bath. Just like when the children were still young. Going into the bath, the family began to prepare. The father went to pay for everyone, scaring the manager. Yosuke, whom the bathhouse worker knows, came out next. He asks what happened to the kid, and he boasts that he recently beat the shit out of 3 goats. Finally, the grandfather asks if he knows who this big guy is. Her bitch's nose, proudly presenting, "This is my dad." Meanwhile, dad undressed, showing off his hairy, charming body. And when he takes off his loincloth, he demonstrates that he is healthy in all respects. How to convey? In general, it was only after mangaka drew these frames that the designation of dignity appeared all over the world. Yosuke catches a tilt and, looking under his towel, wonders if this is exactly how Casey is his dad. When dad, attracting everyone's attention, goes into the bathrooms, displacing the water, the son modestly sits down next to him. On the other side of the baths, Kumiko is talking to her mother. She says it seems like they haven't been to the baths for 100 years. She replies that they stopped when her daughter left home. The girl apologizes for making her mother worry. Dad washed his face and suddenly began to sing. Loud. So everyone heard it, both in the male and in the female part. When he finishes, everyone applauds, both men and women from young to old. Yosuke asks what kind of song it is. Dad gets up, going on to wash, and answers, "I don't know." While he's soaping himself, we're back in the women's quarters. There the comedian cheerfully asks, "I wonder if dad is drunk." And then he grabs, "Oh, I just called him dad." That's right, Casey is married, because he is your dad. "My father," the rumor repeats the comedian. On the male side, the son offered his father to wash his back. While the son rubs his father, surprised by the scar, Takeshi remembers how we are in the baths of little Yosuke. Now he's smiling while no one is watching. Kumiko is now helping her mother to wash in the same way. She had a question, "And how did you and dad meet?" It happened 20 years ago. She was working at the diner when Takeshi came in. She offers to sit down, and having settled down, the man immediately orders hot steak. The future wife supplied him with snacks, and also asked to be allowed to pour him a drink. Then the future husband asks to repeat. Taika asks what he will eat, so Casey asks to choose for him. He was prepared to eat, and to drink, they gave him a bigger glass. Suddenly someone coughed, and the woman, apologizing, ran away. Her mother is lying in the other room. In fact, this is the mother of her ex-husband, who himself ran away and left Taika after being mired in debt. The woman takes care of her, sincerely considering her mother. The door opened, bandits came into the diner. They begin to drive the woman to pay off her debts quickly, but she doesn't have any money. One scares more openly, not hesitating to offend. The second not directly, telling about what they did to other debtors yesterday. Get out of here. Suddenly Takeshi says, even sake has turned sour from your presence. One bandit promises that they will kill him, although he is scared when the future husband of their debtor turns to him. Switching to the woman, the Yakuza asks, are you giving it to him? So Kessie gets up. Taika asks him to leave. Under the laughter of the bandits, they say, the man peed, he pays for the food and goes outside. Money, by the way, is immediately taken away from the woman. Hearing mom coughing from the other side, Taika barely holds back tears. Going outside, the father approached the bandit's car and turned it over. The Yakuza immediately ran outside, and when they saw Casey standing on their car, they decided to punish the big guy. The bald man's arm was first broken, and then his face was smashed with his head. Then the second one stood up in the rack. Attacking, he broke Takashi's leg. The goal has been achieved. It would be better to react to the enemy somehow. Then, the bespectacled man decided to attack with his fist, which was safely caught and twisted. The bandit flew into the trash, picking him up, so if he hit the bandit against the wall of the machine several times. Then threw him out again, stuffing his pockets with booze, which rolled out of the machine after each blow. He gave out the lid of one of them with his teeth and drank the contents in one gulp. A Thai woman came out into the street, asking if everything was okay with him and apologizing for dragging him into all this. The future husband replied that she did not involve him anywhere, it was all his choice. The woman says that since they are bandits, it would be better if Kumato left the city indefinitely. But just let him come back, and when that day comes, she will give him a real banquet. Okay, Takeshi said and left. For a while, the story of the parents' meeting is interrupted. The mother promises that she will finish later. Dad, getting up, beat himself with a towel on the back and on the prichindles. Yosuke, admiring the coolness of his father, first awkwardly hits himself on the back, and then forcefully puts himself on tomatoes. The manager approaches the father and hands him clothes. His wife asked me to give it to him. Looking at her, now the father remembers the continuation of those events with the acquaintance. The diner was about to be closed, because due to a heavy downpour, visitors still cannot wait. But one still showed up. Is the offer still valid? Cassie asks like that. The drenched Kumad was let inside. But. In general, a man is under his nose when a woman goes to get a towel. She went to her mother's room to get a towel. She knows about this man, and, noticing that he is probably all wet, asks for her son's clothes. She does not mind. Going out to the visitor, the Thai woman gave him a towel, and then handed him clothes. It belonged to her ex-husband, but the size should fit. Taika pointed him to a room where he could change clothes. The way to it goes through his mother's room, and when he comes in, he says so. Thank you very much. The man does not answer, begins to change clothes behind the wall, and the woman continues. You're the man who put 3 million yen in our box after the fight with the Yakuza. I have no idea what this is about, Takeshi replies. The woman continues, saying that he does not know how to thank him. She repeats thank you a few more times. But the man continues to deny it wasn't me. After putting on his ex-husband's clothes, Takeshi blushed. She was small to him. Coming out in what he came in, still red, he admitted that the size did not fit. He asks that they just pour him sake. In the present, looking at the clothes that will surely fit now, Takeshi Kumada smiles, and then puts them on. The women ask through the partition if the men are ready to go. Ready. So the whole family goes outside. A small child comes out to meet him, who brags that she caught fish. His family takes him away, and, turning to them, Kessia sees his family in them. Relatives remember that today is the Matsuri festival, so Kumiko asks dad to take them there at home. The daughter put on a yukata, looking at her, he remembers the little Kumiko, the one whose childhood he missed. While the mother is delighted that the clothes look like new, Yosuke appears, but his outfit is not impressive. You can also get in the face if you try so hard to look cool, but the son assures that there is nothing to worry about. He's not the same as he was before. So the family went to the festival. There they try to remember how much time has passed since the last time they all went to it together. The son speaks great, then body was no longer with us. The comedian calls him a fool in his mind because of this. Mother says it's not like that. When they were very young, they went to the Matsuri festival every year. The daughter sees a small toy and says she wants it. The son promises that he will win if his sister gives him money, but she is sure that Yo bitch will not succeed. Then she asks her father. Grandpa gives one shot to the one already bought for free, because Kumiko is so beautiful. But he immediately regrets it. Dad shoots at point-blank range. The daughter got the desired toy, and then the son also asks for a lighter. One more shot, and he gets it. Then the father wins a ring for his wife. The comedian asks her father to put a ring on her mother, but he suddenly abruptly left somewhere. The whole family followed. 38 years ago, in prison, Takeshi received a letter from his mother, which he reads in proud solitude, not holding back tears. My dear Takeshi, it pains me to think that you ended up in prison because of me. I want you to know. I don't care what people say. For me, you will always remain my sweet little son. You are my hero, my pride, and my meaning of life. Every day I pray to the Lord that He will let you get out of this place as soon as possible and come back to me. The door to the cell opens. The guard informs that Kumada is called by the director. The man in the office tells the prisoner that he just got a call from the hospital. Casey's mom died. He was taken to the morgue, where his son can't believe that this happened to his mom. Removing the cloth from his face, he sees her face and begins to cry. Emotions immediately hammered over the edge, and the son asks his mother to wake up. He can't stop crying because she's finally freed from her father, finally able to live for herself. Grief begins to express itself in anger. And the question is, why did you ask my mom? He asks, looking at the sky. Later, after cremation, he is told that he can collect his mother's ashes in an urn with his own hands, grabbing even hot handfuls of ashes, so if he suddenly starts putting them in his mouth. They try to stop him, but he continues. This is his mourning for his mother. In the present, they have already returned home, where an offer is received to end the evening with fireworks. What do you think, Dad? Asks the comedian. Yes, the father answers. While they are talking, he himself goes out to get some fresh air. That's where Cassie remembers her mother, mentally addressing her. Dear mother, I see you every day when I look at the sky. I know that even up there, you're protecting me. You once told me that one day I would become a defender of the people dear to me. I will never forget this truth of life. Later, they all went outside together. Instead of fireworks, they have sparklers. Seeing the brother and sister fooling around, the father remembers how they did the same thing when the children were still young. Then Taika told her daughter that if she made a wish until the fire burned down, it would come true. And the little comedian made a wish. I want all four of us to always be together. After that, she asked what her father wanted, but he did not answer. Now Yosuke says it's like it's not cool. Kumiko reminds that the whole point of this is to make wishes. Everyone takes one. Dad too. Yosuke wished to become as strong as Dad. His sister answered him, don't even dream. The comedian wished to always remain young and beautiful. Mom wants her family to always be happy. The father's light went out. They tell him that it's okay and offer to take another one. But he turns away and says that he has made a wish. Dad wants what Mom wants. The daughter smiles at Taika, saying she saw him blush. Going to the toilet, Takeshi realizes that the blood is not only coming through the mouth, and it is getting more and more. Kumiko's phone rang. This is a friend named Asami, who invited her for a walk. The girl leaves, the mother goes to the kitchen to make tea, and the father returns to the family table. The first thing he asks is where is Kumiko? Kumiko herself met a friend in the subway, who came alone. Yes, and she also looks extremely worried. She takes her to some dark alley, and suddenly apologizes. The light turns on and Curly appears. The phone rang in Kumada's house. Yosuke picked up the phone, and heard the demand to call Dad. While the mother is washing the dishes, Curly, who took his daughter hostage, says to come to the harbor. After hanging up the phone, without saying a word to his son's mother, the father headed for the exit. With a swinging step, he reached the dark meeting place where the bandits were waiting for him. Curly warns that the devil himself is in front of them, so no mercy. While Kumiko is sitting in the car, Casey is preparing for a battle with bikers. The motorcycles move forward. My father also went to meet me. Wooden swords break on his hands, and metal pipes bend. He parries every blow. While, after passing, the biker turns back, Casey himself reached Curly. Frightened, the bandit got into the car and tried to start it, but then a giant fist smashed the windshield, grabbing him by the neck. Looking inside, the father asks his daughter if everything is fine with her, and then reminds Curly that he promised to kill him. Seeing that the others are already returning, Kumada pulls the leader of the bikers out of the car and puts his hands in such a way as to wring his neck if anything happens. Tell them to get out, he commands Curly. Finding himself in a desperate situation, he waves his hand and shouts, let's get out of here. And they get out. After that, he asks for mercy from a hefty man, but in response he hears, You had a chance. My hands are about to wring my neck as Kumiko falls on the asphalt. Please have pity on him, she begs. When the father lets go of Curly, he crawls to her in tears. He hugs her and asks him to forgive her. In response, he gets a slap in the face, and then, also starting to cry, his daughter hugs him. Curly gets down on his knees, again asking for forgiveness. The comedian says that the only one he has to apologize to now is behind his back. He turns around and starts bowing to his father. It turns out that Tetsu, that's his name, can't just live without Kumiko. And the phrase "it's just a love grater" said at the very beginning really made sense. Takeshi tells him to get up, he gets up, Dad rubs his fists. My daughter says don't. Turning his head, the father declares, I have two conditions. First of all, you will never raise your hand to a woman again, he says, and Tetsu agrees. Secondly, you will leave the Yakuza. Curly agrees again. The father commands his daughter to go home. He himself will stay with the guy to see how he will fulfill the second condition. So Tetsu came to the Yakuza. They immediately pay attention to the hefty man with him, and the guy explains that this is his father. Kuchryovova asks why he came, and he asks to let him go from the mafia. For this request, he gets a punch in the face. The head comes down to the others and asks, what's going on here? Seeing a giant man, the leader immediately asks, who is this? This is my father, or rather, the father of my fiancée. They were asked to sit down. A man in a kimono asks what happened, and Curly explains that he does not want to lose the comedian, because of his connection with the organization. He nods knowingly. You can't get married while you're in the organization. He will let him go, but the should understand that it will be necessary to pay. According to mafia law, having cut off his finger, Curly knows and agrees to the conditions. All right, the leader says, and asks to bring a knife to Deb. It won't do. Suddenly the father says, after which he puts his little finger in his mouth, bites it off, and hands it to them. Take mine and let the guy go. The mafia froze from such an act, and Tetsu, with the words of his father, let out tears. After a few seconds of bewilderment, the mafia leader begins to get angry. He does not need his father's damn little finger. Then So Casey rises up, scaring everyone else with a sudden movement. YAKUZA thinks there's going to be a fight, but no, So Casey gets down on her knees. I pray you, he says, bowing his head. The mafia boss replies, stop it, that's enough. The others suddenly decided to give a voice. They say, how is it, boss? But he is already shouting at his subordinates. This guy's balls are made of the best metal. There are simply no more of them in this room. He knows the value of honor. Then Gavar turns to Tetsu, saying that he can follow this man. They paid for him with spirit and blood to pull him out of the darkness. And if he breaks his word, there will be no more place for him in this world. Then he orders the others to prepare first aid. They must do everything to make this person's little finger whole. Good man, please raise your head. I am grateful, the father answers, and at parting the man in a kimono says, you've shaken me to the core. Once Cassie goes out with Curly on the street, the second one again bursts into gratitude. The father in response only says to take care of Kumiko. He promises in tears that he will, and then, with the words, the father accompanies the departing Takeshi with his eyes. In Kuma's house, everyone immediately ran to the exit when they heard their father's footsteps approaching. The children froze on the threshold, and then rushed to hug him. They're both crying. They are trying to hold back all the tears. Hugging them, he says, don't cry, tears are enough for today. His wife comes out into the corridor, and then he says to her, go to bed. Prepare the bed. While Taika spreads the futons, the others are sitting at the table. The daughter asks what's wrong with the little finger, but in response, she hears everything is fine. Then Yosuke asks what he needs to do to become as strong, but Dad replies that he is not strong. One who cannot control his emotions cannot consider himself strong. The son tries to object, but the father suddenly raises his tone. What the fuck do you know about me? Shut up and listen. He tells him to clench his fists. When the son squeezes, Takeshi speaks harder, then even harder. Well, do you feel the power? Do this every time you get angry. This is necessary to protect those who are dear if something happens to them. You have to gather all your strength and yourself in these fists. That's what it means to be a man. He tells his son that it is his duty. The bed is ready. There are 4 futons in one room. Closing his eyes, Takeshi remembers how he and his wife used to lie in similar beds when the children were still young. Memories are interrupted by Yosuke, who wants to go to bed with his father, so he comes up with the order in which someone will lie where. The children went to change. Following them with her eyes, the mother says that children do not change even with age. Then she remembers something else, and takes out her father's old yukata from the closet. She carries it to her husband, but slips. he catches her and then presses her to him. And in response to apologies, he says, "I am the only one who should ask for forgiveness." He apologizes and Taika starts crying. We are going back to the winter past. The future wife is knitting something when the door to the diner opens. Takeshi goes inside and asks for a warm sake. When she is distracted by the order, he blushes and lights up. The table was set for him. Taika notices that the spirit of Christmas has descended on the city that night. She admits that at times she imagines what kind of wife and children he has. But Takeshi replies that he has never been married. Then he asks, what about her? Besides, he already knows, but what about the children? The expectant mother has always dreamed of them, but as the doctor said, she can't have children. Takeshi apologizes for asking such an awkward question. There was a cough, and the future mother of Yosuke and Kumiko went to check on her. The woman coughs a lot of blood, and the future husband comes to loud noises. Taking her in his arms, the man will take the woman to the hospital. They don't want to open there, everyone has Christmas already. So Takeshi knocks down the door and says treat. Quickly. The doctor did everything. But unfortunately, this is the end of the road for Taika's non-blood mother. The woman falls to her knees. Takeshi, for whom the relationship with his mother is also personal, throws his head back to the ceiling. They came to say goodbye. The woman thanks Taika, saying that she is the best daughter one could only dream of. She then asks Takeshi to come closer and give her a hand. Taking his gigantic one, Mom says, "Please take care of my daughter." And he answers, "Yes." The woman left with a smile on her face. In the present, they are still hugging. When children come into the room with curious eyes, the husband and wife awkwardly pull away. The comedian says it looks like we should leave this room to a couple. But no, it's time to go to bed. The wife helps her husband to put on a yukata. Everyone wishes each other sweet dreams. The light in the room goes out. Parents close their eyes, and the children turned on their side, looking in their direction. The father keeps remembering. Once he asked Taika if she was afraid of him. The woman smiled, saying that not a drop, because she sees innocent and childish kindness in his eyes. Then we see their first sortie, which was accompanied by the first phrase, "I love," followed by the birth of a cube. Despite the doctor's warning, the Thai woman gave birth. 2 years later, once again. A little later, while Res is feeding Yuki from a bottle, suddenly saying, as in a dream, "I never dreamed of a family before." The wife also did not dream that at her age she would be able to have children, so she thanks her blushing husband. He replies that it's all thanks to her. Lifting up Yosuke, the father says, "You're going to grow up to be a great man." The mother supports, telling Kumiko that she will become a wonderful girl. Then they hug the children at night, saying they didn't want it to end, and then there was a fire. That day, Kessie dreams about it, and he wakes up in horror. The children are already asleep. Only the wife is awake, who asks, "Is everything okay?" He lies back down and says, "I'm a fool." He was afraid that everything could happen again. He waited a lot, and because of this he lost a lot of precious time with his family. And Taika raised them all alone. He apologizes for not being around. He made a mistake as a father and as a person, did not shackle his anger, and therefore became an unsuccessful father. My wife says she never thought so. She was very happy. Those 3 years were the happiest time of her life. She doesn't care who says what. For Taika, he is the best father in the whole world. Takeshi pulls his wife to him and hugs her, repeating again that he is sorry. Lying on their futons, children who haven't really slept start crying too. When the family woke up in the morning, the father was no longer there. All that's left of him is a slight smell on the mattress and the gifts he won them at the festival. 2 years ago, he burst into their lives all of a sudden and changed them. Next to him, it seemed to them as if they had entered another world. But it's not like that. The father was forgotten by his family, and they realized late that he had always loved them very much. And his heart was beating only in anticipation of returning. Whenever Yosuke gets heavy, he closes his eyes, imagining his father's broad back. What happened to the family after that? Mom started laughing again, and sometimes even jokes herself. Until now, she carefully keeps her father's things. The comedian married Tatsu and gave birth to his daughter. Curly himself has changed a lot, and now he is an exemplary father and a man. He works hard for the benefit of the family, and soon he is going to be promoted. Yosuke himself became a boxer. He used to be a weakling, but now he strives to become like a father. Clutching a lighter given by dad before the fight, he says, "Father, I love you." No matter how, he knows that his father is watching him. Someday he will find those who will be dear to him and create his own family. Therefore, in order to be able to protect them, he must become stronger, even stronger. More. That's how a man should be. The end. No, but it's definitely in The Beloved. Initially, when reading this manga, I did not consider it at all for retelling on the channel. Well, for a perfectly understandable reason, it's not trash. However, with each new chapter, the desire not to tell grew stronger in me. Just a heartfelt story about a man whose life simply didn't work out, but who, contrary to his own opinion, always had his place in the world. She does not try high morals, does not go into action, and conveys one simple truth, that violence is not the only way out. Some may be disappointed that in the end, Casey bowed to the Yakuza instead of killing. But in this case, the story would lose all its charm. He could have easily scattered the whole room in solo, but he is aware of his actions and understands the consequences. The father is on the verge of death. Having made new enemies in his family, who would later deal with the mafia, he would not have done them better with such an act. And even violence at the very beginning, when Dad went to destroy the Yakuza, is exposed rather not as a break for an action shooter, but as a demonstration of a mistake. He succumbed to emotions and strongly crossed the line, which is why he paid with freedom and precious time with the children. Despite the small number and not so strong emphasis on the backstory, the characters nevertheless do not seem cardboard. It would seem that we know about Yosuke or the comedian, but they are his children. That's it. But despite this, largely due to the interaction with each other and the graphic depiction of their emotions, each of them seems convincing. The only moment to which you can indulge is Curly Tetsu. Judging by his appearance and words, there was not a shadow of a thought that this was just a lover scolding. Despite the fact that he said so, it seems that at some point, namely at the moment of the meeting of Takeshi and Tetsu in the harbor, the author wondered how to close this arch at all, and this seemed to be the only right decision as far as Baki himself was concerned. Takeshi is a gruff, laconic man who scares anyone with his appearance. He can describe the cabin in such a way that you won't get over it. At the same time, behind all these layers of muscles and testosterone, there is a vulnerable and gentle person who remembers his own childhood and does not want to project the model of behavior given by his father on his family. He doesn't know how to behave differently, so the mask begins to melt as soon as people start reaching out to him. The final remained open, but we understand perfectly well what happened. The actor came to his family to spend some time with them, and not to burden them with his death. Therefore, he left in an unknown direction, where he met his inevitable demise. Otherwise, perhaps, I have nothing more to say. This is not a story about hypertrophied violence, in which kill or be killed. She is not trying to suck up any serious existential questions, but offers some food for thought. A different view. There is another job in mangaka, which, as I understand it, has nothing to do with this one. It's called Mother. I will definitely read it, but it's up to you to decide whether to release it on the channel or not. What do you think? Do you want to see a different story from this mangaka or not? Write in the comments. I will also remind you about like and subscribe. Your support is incredibly important for the development of the channel. And that's it for today. Thank you all for your attention. I love everyone, and bye to everyone.